Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our midweek meaningful conversation. I am so glad to be here, and I know Pauline. I know Paul and Maxine. This is setting the tone, you know. This is how my day is going. I know Paul and Maxine are happy to be here too. We have a couple of things going on. So before we start, I need to let you know I've been waiting for the electricity man all morning. He was supposed to arrive between 8 and 12 to change the meter. He's not arrived. If he arrives, my electricity may go off, so we may have to postpone. I just want to set that out straight away. This may be a short midweek conversation, but we'll see how we go. This week, we're going to talk about minimalism. But before we do that, I thought it'd be great to have a catch up, see what we've all been up to. Paul, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can do. We spent a lovely couple of weeks actually in a really nice place called Greenberfield. We didn't want to move the boat, but we've moved forward now towards Barnoldswick, and we do love it where we are. And we've also met some friends in their boat who are just behind us. And it's really good or bad because they have a sweet boat and he keeps giving us a quart of licorice all sorts.
Man. I'd follow them around forever.
I think we are doing. Yeah, but apart from that, I've been catching up. I've just finished an art. Oh, actually, I know I can't show you because it's a surprise. I nearly showed you an artwork then. That's someone's Christmas surprise. That would have been embarrassing. Anyway, yeah, I've just finished that this morning.
Yeah, excellent. And Maxine, I know this week it wasn't what you'd got planned at all, was it?
No, we were meant to be visiting the boat on Monday and have the big reveal of the paint job and everything. But I tested positive for COVID on Saturday. I'd been feeling a bit grotty last week, but really thought it was just a cold because I'd got no temperature or anything like that. Came back and yeah, I'm now self-isolating, but which is a bit of a shame. But so it's only for I've got 10 days self-isolation, and so it's been a bit of a different week to what I was expecting. But it'll go quickly, and we can go and see the boat next week. So not quite where we wanted, but hey ho, life goes on.
Get it over with before you get on the boat.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, I missed that. What was?
I said she needs to get it over with before she gets onto the boat.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Well, I've got news too. Spoiler alert for anyone that's watching on Sunday. We've sold Nutshell, so that we'll explain all about that in our video on Sunday. But yes, we've sold Nutshell. We are moving her. So we're actually out on the cut and moving at the moment, which is challenging, trying to balance everything. But it's a short-term thing. So within the next couple of weeks, we'll have handed the boat over and we'll be here in the little house. More. So I can't wait. Things feel very stressful at the moment. We're just juggling, and I've forgotten my proper glasses, so I can't see very well, so someone else may have to read the messages, and I've left my phone at the boat. So that's in Milton Keynes, I'm in Northampton. So that gives us a good segue actually onto mobile phone usage after our conversation last week. Well, I've obviously left mine, so I've done 0 pickups today, and my screen time was down 86%.
Wow. Well
that is purely because we've been so busy moving the boat over the last few days. I haven't touched it, but I'm feeling very proud of myself. Mr. Warner told me that he'd listened to something on the radio where they were talking about the exact same thing. And apparently the average pickup for a mobile phone throughout the day is over 2,000 times. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? I think we're all doing quite well.
Yeah, we are. Do you think maybe that was young people that were?
maybe. Yeah, I think so. But we went into a pub while we were away, and outside the door it said, "We discourage the use of mobile phones. Any offenders, it's £1 to the RNLI." It was
brilliant
perfect.
idea.
Yeah. I know. How have you been getting on, Paul?
Yeah, I looked at my screen time this morning. On last week, I'm down 46% on the week's average, which is really
fantastic.
good. My pickups haven't been brilliant, but we've been building a website, and I have spent a lot of time on my phone and trying to do other things. So I'm making excuses, aren't I? It was about 66 pickups on average, so it's better than the 88 that I was having last week.
Yeah. Perfect. Maxine, how you got on this week?
Yeah, mine's gone down, which I was pleased. It's going down, but pickups have gone down as well, which surprised me because I've used it an awful lot while we were away taking loads of photos, but I haven't been, because it's literally been taking photos. I think that's probably why it's not been as many. So but I just want to get it right down, and I'm leaving it in different rooms now, and it's not with me, because I tendency of picking it up and taking it wherever I go. So now if I'm upstairs in my little office area, I just leave it upstairs, and it's just getting out of a habit. It's breaking that habit, isn't it?
It is absolutely. Oh, I think we've done really well, haven't we?
Pat on the back, everyone.
Very well. And thank you to everybody who messaged about their mobile phone usage as well, and other people saying that they were going to try and reduce it. And someone, the name escapes me, had said they'd watched the Social Dilemma. Is it the Social Dilemma, the movie? And basically they'd found that like a real eye-opener as well. So shall we move on to minimalism, today's topic? Shall we do that? Because for anyone who's watching who's not aware, all three of us vloggers. I was going to say all three of us are boat vloggers, but I'm almost not a boat vlogger. So, I know. But we have all been through that process. Maxine, you're currently going through it, of emptying a house and moving on to a boat. And I've actually just doing it the other way, of emptying a boat and moving on to a house. So we've all been through or going through this intense process of shedding our belongings. So we thought minimalism would be a fantastic conversation, and I want to really understand what minimalism means to each of us, and what that process of getting rid of stuff has been like, to what has it meant to us, basically? Because I know for me it was a really profound thing. So, Paul, if I come to you first, because you've been through the process, then Maxine will come to you, and you can tell us about this, as you're currently going through that process of getting rid of your stuff.
Well, about a year before we bought our boat, we've been on the boat for a year now. I started to read some books on minimalism and come across some vlogs on minimalism. And sorry, it's my phone that just dropped. I was picking my phone up because I've not got the best memory. So I came across, and I think you've come across these, Lisa. I think you've mentioned them, Maxine, the minimalists, and it's Joshua Field Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus, who are absolutely brilliant. And then also on top of that, there was another guy who was involved with them called Matt DeEvler.
Yes.
And he's really gone into minimalism big time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I thought, I could go on about this for hours. So I'm trying to condense it. So it feels so much better to have so much less clutter. And I think we all hoard things, and you watch programs like The Secret Hoarders and think we're not that bad. But we've got a friend that now lives in Canada that lived in the UK, and he had to sell all of his belongings and basically had one suitcase that probably just contained clothes. And it is that thing, isn't it? I thought, we nearly moved to Australia years ago. It would have cost us a fortune to ship everything over. How much money have we spent on those items? DVDs. Before that was VHS videos, CDs, and books, magazines. And we keep hold of these things. And it's almost like we're scared to let go of them. Because we know we spent so much money on them. We feel like we're wasting our money. And the same with clothes. you know, I used to sort of chase fashion, and then I got to this point, and Matt DeEvler said he had 5 grey t-shirts or 5 black t-shirts, and that's exactly what I did. And I thought people would see me going out every day in the same clothes, thinking they were the same clothes, but they are clean clothes.
Yeah.
It makes life so much simpler, because now I go into my wardrobe, I don't have to think which outfit, which pair of jeans goes with which t-shirt, which outfit should I wear today. I just grab a grey t-shirt, stick on my black jeans, and that's it. And the weird thing is, nobody knows. I don't think anyone notices, or certainly nobody commented. And freeing to do that. And I think we all know about that rule of, if you've not used something for 12 months, what value is it bringing to your life? Do you still need it? And if not, get rid of it. And I think lastly, so I can let you two get a word in, going through all the belongings so we could get onto a narrowboat, we obviously had to get rid of a lot of things. And I got rid of books, a lot of clothes, a lot of belongings. And it felt so freeing to do that and start afresh and not have all this clutter in my life. But the one thing, photographs, I found that the hardest to get rid of. But I've still got those memories, and the photographs that were really special to me, I just took pictures of on my phone, so they're stored digitally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did that too. Thanks, Paul. That's there is so much to say about minimalism, and we'll definitely come back round. Maxine, how are you finding that process of going from a house to a boat?
Well, firstly, about 11 years ago, I basically started again. So I had literally, when I put everything in my house, it was just what I needed. And it was such a wonderful feeling, because there was no clutter, nothing about, and I like that type of thing. But now, obviously, I'm in with Steve now and everything, and he's lived at the house for 35 years, and he loves to collect and hoard. And so over the last 3 years, he has had to get rid of stuff that he's had for 30 plus years. And it was a real struggle to begin with, because it was always going to come in useful, and we had to explain, not on a boat it won't any longer. And it's been so cleansing though, and he's actually enjoying it now. And in fact, now he's going through everything and like a tornado, and that can go, and we're really just about down to where we need to be. And I can't wait to get onto the boat and just have those few things. But it's like you just said, Paul, about photographs. They are very, very dear to me. And I think taking pictures of them onto your phone so you've got them in digital is a fantastic way of keeping them. But we are keeping all the books and the photos and our pictures into a box, we've got a lock-up to begin with. I don't know why we're keeping them, because we're not planning on buying another property. But at the moment, we can't I can't get rid of those, because they're like memories that we want to keep for later on in case we do. And that's my biggest thing. I'm up, but clothes I do love, and I've been good. And now when I'm buying things, I'm thinking, right, that'll go with that. That'll go with that. So I've got a more nuclear set of clothes, but still quite a few, which I've still got. I know I've got to get rid of them, and my boots. But we are getting there. But it's just so clearing, getting everything to out. And as you say, if you haven't used it for months, I mean, we've been clearing out now for about 2.5 years, trying to get rid of everything, and I've not missed anything. And so that's why I know we had far too much. And I think you go through stages where you'll be out and about and think, oh, I like that, and just buy it for the sake of buying. And now we're out of that. We literally only buy things now if we need them or we're going to need them. And I just can't wait to get on there and just have a few things and see what happens then, and try and keep down to those as well.
That's brilliant, Maxine. You hit on this thing that we just keep coming back to, is life feels so much better in a clearer space, when we're living in a clearer space, and it just feels amazing. So for people watching or listening that don't know my story, well, we actually sold our house about 5 years ago now, and we got rid of everything. We left with like a suitcase. Well, Glenn took his motorbike and his tools, a small thing of tools, his motorbike. We left with like a suitcase. We got rid of everything, and we'd lived in our house for over 20 years. We'd raised 4 children who had left home. There was a lot of stuff. And although it looked quite minimal, man, it wasn't minimal. Not when you dug into the cupboards. It wasn't. So we got rid of everything. And we, when we moved on to the boat, we were in this situation with this lovely, clear space. That and it was like being able to breathe, like, I don't know, like a nice inhale. It felt like that to be in the space. Now, 4 years later, we're now selling Nutshell, and we've just emptied her into this 1-bedroom house, and I cannot believe the amount of stuff we've got.
No.
So I'm gonna, in a minute, I'll tell you what I'm planning to do, because my first tendency was just like, let's get rid and just start again. And I thought, no, Lisa, no, not again. You've got to keep this stuff. You've got to use it. So I'll tell you my plans in a bit. But I want to just come back to something you, well, both of you said actually about clothes and that tendency that we have to buy stuff, don't we? You know, and I have done for a couple of years. I haven't done it for the last about 8 months, but I used to Project 333 or 333. Have you heard of that? Have you heard of that?
I think only from watching your vlog.
Yeah, I was saying,
Yeah, so basically it started with a lady called Courtney Carver, and she created a wardrobe. It was more of a challenge to herself to have 33 items of clothes. And that included coats, shoes, bags, scarves, whatever. It didn't include gym clothes. It didn't include nightwear or underwear.
Yeah.
So, but everything else, every single thing, 33 items. And it sounds really restrictive, but actually it wasn't. It was really freeing, but you had to curate. You had to really think about what those 33 items was. And I knew for sure that whenever I was doing Project 33, I felt great, because the clothes that made the cut were ones I loved, and everything went with everything else. So you know, it's these sort of challenges that we give ourselves that make us curate what we've got, the things that we own, to make them work for us rather than being overwhelmed with them. So I just wanted to throw Project 333 into the conversation, because I know a lot of people struggle with too many clothes. So,
and the thing is as well, when you're buying clothes that are in fashion, they're only in fashion for now, and how soon do they go out of fashion? And then you they stay in your wardrobe, but you know how much money you've spent on them. And again, it adds to the collection, doesn't it? And I think that was a good thing about buying, you know, plain t-shirts or plain shirts, that they may not be the height of fashion, but they will last a lot longer.
Glenn does exactly that, Paul. He's all his t-shirts are like the same sort of color, and he's just got about 8 of them, and they're just identical. So but that's cool. I'm just gonna attempt, without my proper glasses, to read some of the comments. So I'm just going to say hello to everybody who's watching. Thank you. Thank you. Jackie says, let me show that. Oh, is it? Oh, it's not working. Oh, it is now. It is now. Jackie says that she downsized 3 years ago. It was a great feeling, offloading all unwanted and unused stuff. It felt like I had a weight lifted off my shoulders. Jackie, that is so true, isn't it? Why does our stuff feel so heavy? Why?
I think sometimes as well, you feel guilty about getting rid of some stuff, because especially if it's been bought for you as a present, or it reminds you of a particular thing, you think, oh, shall we hang on for it just a bit longer? But you've got to be just realistic and just say, no, that's it, we're doing it, and go. And Yeah, and it might be. I mean, we're doing quite a lot of stuff to the charity shops and everything, so that it can help people, and that makes you feel a bit better from it that way. So that's the way to look at it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Pamela, she says, we downsized and got rid of loads of stuff. It was really hard. And like Paul said, I had hundreds of good food mags, but I never looked at them. I've got to admit, cookbooks were like they were so hard to get rid of. Now we're here. I don't miss anything. It's like a mass cleanse.
Yeah. It is like when we do our spring clean, most people do a spring clean of the house and it just feels so much better, doesn't it? Because you've got less items to gather dust and it's easier, you'd hope, to clean the house or your boat. So yeah, it's just like a really good spring clean, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. And I want to talk about minimalism is it just in our houses or is it in our lives? You know, like my digital world, man, that is, if that was physically represented, what's, you know, all the files, all the hard drives, all the things that I belong to, my digital world is a mess, and that needs simplifying and making minimal. You know, I look in my handbag sometimes and I'm like, oh, that is just chaos. At work, in my car, in my diary, all these things would benefit from a minimalistic approach to make room for life. What do you think about minimalism in other areas of your life?
That's a really good point, actually, Lisa, because you're right. You know, I've got something like 4,000 emails in my inbox, and it takes me. It's usually New Year's Day or the 2nd of January. Where I think, right, I need to go through all these, unsubscribe from all these things that are no use to me. So yeah, it does feel better when you sort of declutter with the digital side of things as well, and it's basically unsubscribe, isn't it? The good thing is as well, a lot of the things that you do subscribe to are trying to tempt you to spend money, which is true. You know,
it's true that that's a massive connection there, Paul, about the amount of stuff that we have in money. I see it as like bits in a jigsaw. You know, that if we tackle one area, then you know it has benefits. You know, if we buy less, our homes are less cluttered, and then our bank balance benefits, and the environment, you know, benefits, and all these things. What about you, Maxine? What do you think about other areas? Have you ever thought of simplifying or minimalizing other areas of your life?
I do. Especially on the digital side, I delete any email that comes through it. I'm not going to read it, or I don't need it. I unsubscribe regularly to junk where I obviously subscribe and don't, and so I do keep that very clear, because when I'm sat at my desk, I like to have everything just as and clear so that I can see the way forward. So that way I've been like that for the last probably a year and a half. I've been making sure, and the same with in my diary, everything's just on one line, and it's very neat, and because that's the way I like to keep my head focused, and then I'm focused on what I need to do. So that side of it is I've ticked off. It's just getting rid of and we're getting there with everything else now because of it going slowly. So that's why I want to make sure when we start the new year on the boat and everything is just nice and calm and clear.
I could learn so much from you, Maxine. My inbox is chaos.
We need to borrow Maxine for a week.
Maxine, come and show me. Come and show me how you do it.
You can sit with a cuppa. Can I just read this comment from Jackie and also comment on it?
Sure.
Jackie said, I use the method that if it was a present, I enjoyed it at the time, and Christmas doesn't last 10 years, and I wouldn't expect someone to keep a Prezi forevermore. That's something that I meant to mention. So from reading and watching The Minimalist, how many times do we receive things at Christmas that we just, you know, I shouldn't really say this, but it might just go in a drawer and never get used, or it just adds more to the clutter. And one thing that I found really helpful was I would say to people, and it might sound dead boring, but I'd say to parents, if you're going to get me something this year, some coffee, which is something that we drink and we use, and it's never going to go to waste, and we really enjoy it. And for me to get a book that I could read and then pass on to someone, a bar of chocolate and some coffee, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also things like socks, things that you are going to use, rather than getting some random present that it just goes in a drawer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's spot on. The narrowboat pirate. I love the fun of opening the cupboard door and everything falls out. Oh, welcome to my life.
Does she enjoy putting it back in though?
Oh man, on the boat we had some cupboards like that. Or because the cupboard sort of went back quite a way, I'll be on my hands and knees, literally in the cupboard looking. Oh, I don't want to do.
On the narrowboat, we've got to put stronger magnets on because the doors won't hold anymore.
They just like that. Like that. Oh, that's yeah. There's nothing like the joy of opening a cupboard and just having, what needs to be in there that you can just see it. I love it. So this brings me on to the next stage for me in minimalism. I mean, I've done it. I've done all that work, and yet I've still ended up like full of stuff.
Yeah.
And
notebooks by any chance, Lisa?
There may be a few notebooks. And what I've realised is I love stuff that looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So stationery, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I love all sorts of things that when I look at, they're just beautiful. And I think, I love it. So they make their way into my life. I also love tea. And today, this morning, in fact, I have emptied the tea. Well, I was putting the tea into the tea cupboard. And I did have a whole load of different teas from the boat. And also, because we shut the caravan up last weekend, I'd brought all the tea from the caravan. Now, let's bear in mind, we've only actually had that caravan since July, all right? I must have brought 6 packs of tea bags, right, back from the caravan. All different sorts of tea bags, mind you, but tea bags, like, I've got a box now like this of tea. It's just full of tea. And I'm like, so the minimalist part of me was like, have one beautiful tea caddy. I've got a beautiful tea caddy. Fill that with tea. Just have that.
Yeah.
But then the more sort of eco part of me is like, use the bloody tea. Like, just use it. Do not buy tea until every single bit of that tea is gone.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm going to do in this house. I'm resisting that tendency to get rid of, to dispose of, even if I was to like compost it, or even if it, do you know what I mean? Even if it was done in that way, I'm not doing it. I am going to use everything. And I've got so much food, like cans and jars and spices and what I've got so much of that. I think we could live off it for years, right? And I'm going to do it. I'm not going to throw anything away. I'm going to make an effort to use everything. Same with pens and notebooks. Most of my notebooks have got like 3 or 4 pages written in them, and then a new notebook comes along, and I discard it. I'm going to use them all. And so that's what I'm going to do. And it feels quite challenging because I don't want it all. I don't want it, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to keep repeating this cycle of buying, hoarding, and then disposing and then buying new more.
I think that's a good point as well, that the more we declutter, the less waste we have, because when we did clear the house out, we had such a big kitchen and such deep cupboards, and we'd go in and it was like a game of which with the most out-of-date item. And it was like, I found a spice here that's 2 years out of date, and you think, oh, spices don't really go off. And I think we found a tin of something, and it may have been treacle or something. And I think that was the winner. It was about 10 years out of date. And you go back of the cupboard, and then you think you've run out, and you buy new, and it just gets pushed further back. It's a continuing cycle, isn't it?
In the boat, we had 3 jars of Lee and Perrins Worcestershire sauce. 3. I mean,
your tea.
Oh man, it's crazy.
In our kitchen on the boat, because we're in the house, we've got a small kitchen anyway, and we've had the same problem with cupboards. It just gets put to the back, and then you have to keep going through it, and you don't. So you think, oh, I haven't got any, so I'll buy some more. So what we've done with the boat, it's all drawers, so you can pull them out and physically see everything. So in theory, we shouldn't have to be able to not get to the back of the book, we won't have stuff stuck at the back of the cupboard, because we will be able to see everything. But we'll see how it goes. That's how that's my theory for that one.
I think it's a good plan. I'm just, what is it? Why do we do it? What?
Yeah, it feels good to buy things, doesn't it? As well.
You get a buzz, don't you? After buying yourself something.
Did you see that in America? That I'm not just picking on Americans, but it was a program that was about America, and people were that addicted to shopping channels. They were buying things like bags of compost, and they didn't have a garden, and they just loved buying it and having this parcel delivered. And I'll be honest, I love getting parcels, because to me it feels like Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love a good parcel. And oh man, I've just forgotten what I was going to say. And it was just about, I've remembered. So the compost, people buying compost, and they haven't even got the garden. Do you think we're buying stuff for the life that we want? And Paul, you shared a brilliant quote with me weeks ago before we started doing this, and it was something about that, wasn't it? Was that about buying something for the person that you want to be? Or
it was from the book A Year of Less, wasn't it? And she said that she had hundreds of books, maybe thousands of books, and that's the one thing she found difficult to get rid of. And then one day she just looked at them and said, do I need these things, or is this the ideal best version of myself that wants these things? And I think that was quite meaningful. And I thought back to when I used to go to magic conventions. I used to buy these magic books, and they were like £90, £100 on coin tricks and rope tricks and card tricks. And I used to have this ideal vision of myself that would have this magic library, a bit like the famous magician Derren Brown, and sit there with a cup of coffee, reading my books and practicing all these tricks. And it's just not me. It was just the ideal version of me. And I wasted all that money on those books that I had to sell when we came to move onto the boat.
I find that interesting. The whole thing of like the stuff we buy, not as a status symbol. I'm not saying, like buying something because you want to impress somebody else, but it's like the person that you want to become. I find that fascinating, and it just really makes me wonder, why am I buying stuff? Why do I keep buying stuff? Why? Yeah.
And also, do you think all three of us could possibly agree with this? I don't know, but personally, I never read fiction. Anthony loves reading fiction and crime, horror, and really enjoys it. And I always feel like if I'm buying a book or listening to an audiobook, it has to be a self-improvement. And that's great. It's not addictive, but it's like, I just want to be. But how much self-improvement can you take? Yeah. And I was thinking last night, I might start reading fiction.
Well, Paul, I'm a couple of years ahead of you on that, because I was exactly the same. And I think all three of us can quite safely say, I think we're self-help, sort of productivity, all that sort of self-help stuff. We all love it. I mean, I do. And for many years, I was exactly the same as you, Paul. I don't think I read fiction for years. And actually it was Audible, and to be honest, when I look back in my Audible library, the first few well, more than the first few, but there was a lot of everything was self-help-ish. It could have been spiritual, or it could be productivity, or but it was self-help. And when I indulge, and it felt like an indulgence in fiction, oh man, my life definitely became richer for reading fiction. So I recommend it. I really do.
That's what I'm going to do today then.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
I say I do a mixture. I like my fiction ones now because it just takes me into another world, and it's relaxing, and especially when I'm out walking. I love the Audible when I'm out walking in the mornings with the dog and listening to something totally different.
Yeah.
Just completely going off subject, right? But because we all read a lot of that genre of sort of self-help, or let's just call it being the best that you can be, right? Because self-help is a bit of a naff name. But do you read stuff and you think, I could have written that book, I know it all, there's when you've read that many, it all comes back to the same thing really at the end of the day, doesn't it?
The self-improvement books.
And so that's one of the reasons why I stopped buying them, because I just think, there's nothing new in there. There's nothing new. Maybe we should just accept that, that we are always a work in progress to being the best version of ourselves. Maybe we could do a whole conversation on that one day. So that would be excellent. So Sean says, the issue with decluttering is you start there, and no matter how you try, the clutter will find a way to get in. And that's what we were saying, Sean. It does, doesn't it? It just comes back in, and we've got to stop it. It's that at the point of purchase, or at that point when people ask us what we want for Christmas. I've been asking all of my kids and my mum, they've all been, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I'd like National Trust membership this year. So if everyone chips in a bit, I'll get myself a National Trust membership. I'll make use of that. So that is so Pamela said, I love my spices and herbs, and when we moved I had some that dated back to 2005. Oh, that's all right.
You say that, but we're not going to Pamela's for any meal. Sorry, Pamela.
All right.
No.
I'm a bit with the spices. I'm like, sometimes I'll open something, I think it doesn't even smell of what it should do anymore.
Powder.
It's just dust. But food is an easy one, isn't it? As we said earlier, to hoard, really, not in the sense that we think of a hoarder, but it's an easy one because we go every week or every couple of days, and it's so easy, especially if you love cooking.
And I hate food waste. We've only got a really compact fridge and on the boat, and a freezer box compartment. And even that still has waste in it. You think, how can you waste it? We stick things to the back, and then we go out and buy fresh, and then we find this, and it has to be binned because it's gone off. And I really hate food waste.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Use all our freezer stuff at the moment because we're trying obviously got to reduce it down. And some of the stuff you think, God, I've had that for ages, and you just buy it because you think, oh, it's a swim, and then you put it in the freezer, and then you forget about it. And it's when you start going down to the bottom, you think, oh God, they've been there for a while.
Yeah, it's so crazy, isn't it? It's so crazy. Let me just check the time. Oh, we're fine. Can I just say the electricity man hasn't turned up yet, and he was supposed to be here between 8 and 12. So I'm not moaning because I'm quite glad because it's allowed us to have a lovely long chat.
Yes.
So minimalism, then, when you see the best version of yourself, I keep coming back to it, right? Because we can't take ourselves out of that. When you see the best version of you, like where does minimalism fit? Is it every area of your life, that you just feel that you could be minimalistic in your approach to everything?
Yeah.
Or are there some areas that deserve not to be minimalistic? I'm asking it. I've got no answer for you because I don't know.
No, it's see, because I was doing the vlog.
Yeah.
I thought the dream vision that I had in my head when we bought a boat was sitting on my boat doing some artwork and having a cup of coffee and a very clutter-free desk. And I wish I could show you the desk now because it's not clutter-free. And that's the thing with a boat; it does become so cluttered so quickly that you've got to be careful. But yeah, I can have pencils and pads and paper and drawing boards and the ideal version of me was sat on the boat doing some artwork, walking outside into nature, sort of decluttering my mind that way, and even sat outside reading a book and having a cup of coffee. And I've got to admit that I faked it. So one day I thought, right, I'm going to pretend that I've got this brilliant life where I'm sat out on the towpath and the sun's shining and I've got a cup of coffee and I'm reading a book.
Yeah.
But within 5 minutes, I'd forced myself to do it. But even within 2 minutes, I just felt so much better in myself. I thought, I need to do this more. It can't be a forced thing. This is the dream life I wanted for myself. And so I did start to think, right, take a break from my art or whatever work I'm doing, editing a vlog, get out on the towpath, read a book, and it declutters your mind, doesn't it? And going for a good walk declutters your mind. And it's a good pair of boots, really.
Yeah, absolutely. A minimal activity is walking. It is that just a pair of boots, no special, equipment needed. Put on your boots and just get out there. It's simplicity and minimalism at its best when we look at what walking gives us. So, what about? Thanks, Paul, for that. That's really insightful because in a minute I'll come back and I'll tell you about my perfect little dream. Maxine, what about you? Do you have?
I can see myself, as I say, my main thing is now to get onto the boat because that's what's going to happen. And I can just see myself with very few bits and pieces around us, and mine is to sit in the very, very front at the crutch with my book and just completely chilling with a few lights on and just completely oblivious to everything else going around and just me in the book. And I can see, and when I look back into it, there's just hardly anything around. There's just a few cushions, a few of her books, and no clutter anywhere. And I just, as long as everything's just clutter free and I can see it, and I hope to God it stays like it. And I really, every time we talk about it, I'm just, and there'll not be that, and there'll not be that. I just want all the tops clear of everything so that it looks spacious as well.
So Lisa, can we turn up at Maxine's boat unannounced with a camera?
Catch you out. And then we'll come round to you, and if you're not sitting on the front with the book, we'll go,
naughty.
I've got a vision here as well. So the life that I want to create in this little house is, I've got the picture in my brain, and it involves lots of different areas of my life, and I can see exactly how it's going to unfold. And exactly like you two, it involves the time to do the stuff I want to do in a clear and beautiful, calm environment. And I so want it. I so want that life. And what I've done, in fact, it's just arrived. 1 second. I'm going to see if I can grab it and I'll show you. 1 second.
It's not an electrician. Yeah, I really do hope that works for you, Maxine. It's weird, isn't it? And one of the other things I was going to mention as well, going back to presents, some of my best presents have been a day out and a picnic or coffee and cake and a good conversation with friends. And one was like, people can get you experiences. So one of them for a big special birthday was a day out at a safari park on a photography course. And it was absolutely brilliant. And again, that wasn't something I was going to waste, and something that I'll remember and gain use of for a long time.
We've done that. Most times we get each other experiences and things like that these days because yeah, as you say, it's just an amazing day out, and it's something you'll never ever forget. Yeah, we did the longest zip wire last year in Wales, and that was absolutely terrifying but amazing as well.
I had coffee and cake while Anthony did that zip wire.
That would be me clapping from the bottom. Well done, well done. I'm back. What I wanted to show you was this arrived today, and to make that idea in my head of this life that I want to create, I decided that I'm going to create a vision board for this next stage of my life. And I wanted to, I was looking, I don't know if you've ever made a vision board before.
Yeah.
It's a very plus sort of thing to do, isn't it? And usually you get a magazine and you cut through bits. I couldn't find any pictures of the ones I wanted. So I went online, I found the pictures, and then I went to one of those online send you some photos. And so basically I'm going to make a vision board to make sure that this happens. So I've got like this picture that's come, like festivals, museums. Just like lights. That just looked nice, didn't it? Who wouldn't want to be there? I want to eat good food. I want to have picnics. I heard you just saying picnics. I want to go exploring, do yoga. Basically, I've got loads of pictures. Oh, look at all these plants. Look. So basically, I am gonna make a vision board or a plan, a visual plan of this very simple. I was just having a look in here because what made me think of it was I took some pictures of just like jars in a larder, the very sort of minimal kitchen. They're in here somewhere. But anyway, I'm going to make it happen. This ideal version, this picture in my head. Yeah,
that's perfect. So it's going to jog your memory, isn't it? That's the whole point of a vision board. And it's nice when you can sort of tick off and see that you've done those things on the board. And it does add value to your life. I think something I've just remembered, being a minimalist isn't about spending less money, which I found quite interesting. That a lot of the minimalists fill their house with beautiful things. So rather than having lots of furniture, they may go out and spend thousands of pounds or dollars on a really nice piece of furniture that brings joy to that person. And one thing I did notice, and I did do this, get rid of clutter. So CDs, DVDs and books, and put plants in their place. And it was a living thing. And I quite enjoyed going around looking after these plants every week. And I don't know, that felt quite refreshing. I know you like buying plants, Lisa.
What do I?
Almost as much.
It's true. They give me much joy. And that's the other thing about minimalism, isn't it? It's not about just stripping everything out. It's about making space so you can see the things you love. Let me see what Kieran said. Hello, Kieran, by the way. I put into action in my flat in New Zealand the things about minimal living that I never did on my boat. Less of clothes and everything else. Life is much simpler. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So Jackie, I've got to show this. This is, I questioned myself on this as well. Jackie just says, Lisa, have you got the right date for the electric person? I've checked twice and I definitely got the right date. Yeah, I did have to check, Jackie. Right, let's see. I think Pamela says, Paul, you do really well because when you see artists, they usually have a whole studio. You do amazing work from your boat. So do you have to be super organized with your art stuff?
I mean, we had this 3-bedroomed house. It was like a 1930s semi, so quite large rooms, and we converted the garage, and ideally it was going to be an extra sitting room, but then we had a lounge, a dining room, then we got a conservatory and filled that, so we had 4 sitting rooms, and we thought, it's not Downton Abbey. So we decided to change it into a craft room because Anthony does like doing crafts as well, and me myself as an art studio. And I loved it. And it very soon became cluttered, and I had to sort of spring clean once a week, and I felt so much better when it was decluttered. But you know, I had a big, massive desk and I could leave everything out. And that was a thing I found when I didn't have a studio space. When I was putting my artwork into boxes and my art supplies into boxes going into the loft, I wasn't using them. So it was sort of defeating the object, really. So it was handy having a studio space where everything was left out and I could just reach and use it. And I do manage. Luckily, we've got the dinette, which has got a lot of storage, and everything's in a box, 2 boxes that I can lift out, spread out, do my art, and then it can go back away again. But yeah, there are some challenges on a narrowboat. I think, you know, I couldn't use oil paints because of the smell. Acrylics, I'd be worried about damaging the furniture. So pencils and watercolors are quite good for a boat. But the one thing I found on a boat, your pencils roll off all the time because your boat's leaning.
That must be really annoying if you've just sharpened them and they fall onto the floor. And
just like a bending down, picking things up.
That would be frustrating. That would be frustrating. Well, guys, I think I was going to say we've covered minimalism. I don't think we've covered it. There's so much more that we could talk about minimalism. So maybe we could like revisit it, and you know, especially looking at I love the sort of the environmental aspect of minimalism and how that impacts our lives, as well as the money saving you know, stuff. So there's far reaching implications when you start to live more minimally. So I'd really like to talk about that more, but I think we've done quite well for today, for Wednesday. I feel so much better when I arrived at my computer and I said to Maxine when we first started talking before we went live, I felt frazzled. I felt in a complete, like I hadn't stopped for days. So this was just a real tonic. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And as always, you know, conversation fills me up and it energizes me. So thank you, because I need that energy for this afternoon. So thank you so much.
And it does give us so much food for thought every week, doesn't it? And it's good that we can see what we've done in our week from what we've learned and our conversations.
I love it, because I think about it as we go through the week. You know, it doesn't just stop there. So yeah, that is brilliant. So thank you, Paul and Maxine, and thank you to everybody who's been watching or listening or will do over the next couple of days. So thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.